Boycott China! Boycott China! Back off China! Back off China!
It most certainly was a global affair. Groups of Canadians from many cultures stood together this past Sunday to condemn the authoritarian regime of the Chinese Communist Party. Drea, Humphrey here with Rebel News, and on Sunday, September 27th, I found myself back in front of the Chinese consulate on Granville Street in Vancouver for yet another anti-Communist Party of China protests. Now, these protests are becoming more and more frequent in Vancouver, and despite 27% of Vancouver's ethnic makeup consisting of the Chinese community, protests like this are still getting next to no coverage by the mainstream media. Over 100 protesters attended the event called a Global Day of Action, Resist CCP, Freedom Now. The protest was hosted by a variety of Canadian communities, including Chinese, Hongkongers, Indo-Canadians, Tibetans, and Uyghurs. There were passionate speakers and plenty of signs held by protesters, as well as on top of vehicles that continuously drove by. Indoctrination, communism, and genocide were just some of the heavy topics discussed as these groups stood together to call on our government and our people to resist the CCP. But instead of me explaining things further, watch and see for yourself as the protesters share their message and tell China to back off.
Boycott China! Boycott China! Back off China! Back off China! Today we are here to support and raise the voice for our Michael Kovrig and our Michael Spavor, who are illegally detained in China. China is the biggest bully in the world. China is the biggest land mafia in the world. China has land disputes with 17 countries in the world. And the South China Sea, which it shares with other countries, it has the dispute with every other country.
Hi, everybody. My name is
If we buy Canadian products, we support our Canada. Boycott Canadian goods. Boycott Chinese goods. Support Canadian goods. Boycott China, back off China. This is our slogan.
We represent a group in BC that are looking to acquire sovereignty. And by acquiring our sovereignty, it'll empower us to better deal with the CCP takeover. Right now, Canada is actually a corporation, and we are all subject to the monarch. It's a corporation of the monarch, right? And we're coming here to show other people that by gaining our sovereignty, we'll be able to empower us, and we'll be in a better position to help China and other countries deal with the CCP.
If you look at all the things that the CCP have done, the genocide against the Uyghurs, what they've done with Tibetans, and with what they're doing in Hong Kong, destroying a free society, the actions are comparable to the Nazis. Also, the way that they are menacing their neighbors like India and neighbors in the South China Sea. This is comparative to the Nazis, and we need to recognize this threat. And, first it starts with not engaging with them, not doing business, pretending that it's business as usual, but fighting against this. Removing the infiltration within Canada, and then, taking the fight to the CCP and supporting people from Hong Kong, supporting the Uyghurs, supporting Tibetans, supporting all the victims, and standing for the values that we hold dear as Canadians, like freedom of speech and basic human rights.
Tell us what this means to you right now.
Huh?
What does this mean to you right now?
CCP is Hitler, is controlling. He's not doing a favor for the entire world. Instead, he is ruining our whole system.
China, China, China! You're fired! China, China, China!
Resist CCP!
I'm ethnically Uyghur myself. I was born in Kazakhstan, moved here in grade 3, and it's for my people. I'm here for my people. Currently, China occupies my territory, just like Canada once occupied this territory. And I wanted to say that this right here, this is the Chinese embassy on unceded territory on Canadian native land. They are not welcome here. I do not welcome them here. They have never, asked no indigenous people about this. And me, as an indigenous person to East Turkestan, I'm telling the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, to leave my land and leave my people alone. And the only reason I'm speaking up now is because I have no more people to lose. Back in the day, we all have feared of losing people back home, but now we have nothing to lose. All the people are already taken, and we are standing up here for our family, for my cousins, for my aunts, for my friends, for all the blood that I shared back home. And I wanted to say that I am here, and I will not give up until the CCP stops what they are doing. And I want the CCP to take this as a threat, because I feel like I am an average person, but so is everyone here. And with numbers, we will inevitably either hold on to the culture they're trying to take down, or we will stand up and fight against. I will not let them win. Thank you. I wanted to thank the CCP, as a matter of fact, for one thing they did is they made me realize that I'm an Uyghur. I am from East Turkestan, and I wasn't connected to my land as much as I am now. And I want to thank them that even if it was against their agenda, I'm here right now, standing opposed to them, but thanking them for making me more Uyghur and preserving the culture.
In 2020, we have up to 3 million Uyghurs in northwestern China, known as Xinjiang, but we call it East Turkestan. It's the indigenous land to Uyghurs. So what's going on right now is China is ethnically cleansing Uyghurs by taking them into concentration camps where they're being tortured, brainwashed, forced sterilization, forced labor, and there have been evidence with our favorite brands that are complicit, like Zara, Nike, Google, Apple, and more. And so basically, they're using religion as a mean to ethnically cleanse them. There have been cases where people who pray or people who have a beard they've been sent to concentration camps. So basically, what they're trying to do is ethnically cleanse the Uyghur minority.
It's usually called East Turkestan, but ever since China took over, they've persecuted over 3 million, 4 million Uyghurs. And I don't even know what's happening to my family, extended family there. And it's just sad not knowing where your grandparents are, where your cousins are.
I am an ethnic Uyghur, and I haven't been talked to my family members for 3 years. Not only me, but also millions of Uyghurs outside of China have same situation like me. And I have to raise awareness. I have to talk about what's happening right now in East Turkestan, Chinese occupied country. And it's more than 8 million people are detained in China's concentration camps. And even Chinese officials, they already confirmed it is more than 8 million people. And it is genocide. And I want everyone to stand up against this genocide, modern day genocide. We said never again, but it's happening right now in my country.
I support the Falun Dafa, the Falun Gong movement. These people are being persecuted in China, horribly treated and having their organs harvested, and yet nobody here is talking about it. No big politicians are. And as a supporter of the People's Party and Maxime Bernier, he's one of the only politicians that are going to be tough on China with persecuting them for and holding them accountable for these kind of actions that they're taking against their own citizens. And I stand with Hong Kong and their plight for freedom.
What brought you guys to this protest today?
Well, we are standing with Canada. We are standing with all the democracy, and we are tired of Chinese Communist Party bullying democracies like Canada. We are here for two Michaels who have been illegally and captured by Chinese Communist Party. They didn't do anything wrong. There's no due process, and it's really sad, like what China has done to Tibet, what they have done to Uyghur Muslims, what they are doing to democracies like India, China, everywhere, and their irresponsibility towards Wuhan virus, coronavirus. So we are actually paying for that. Left alone the real estate market and how unaffordable it is with illegal Chinese money. But we are suffering, and it's enough. We need to stand up to China. So that's why we are here.
Absolutely. Now, what do you think needs to happen for more people who don't have direct ties with China or India but live in Canada? What needs to happen for them to start taking notice about these things?
I think democracies like our government needs to stand up for the Canadians that are incarcerated in Canada. So there's 2 Michaels that aren't getting due process and that are in prison, basically getting tortured. So more awareness needs to happen, and governments need to stand up to China and make sure that China is upholding human rights, which it's not.
Why do you think a lot of Canadians in this area still don't know a whole lot about what's going on?
I think part of that is, being distracted by other things. I mean, we were dealing with a pandemic. I think the pandemic's actually helped in bringing the threat of the CCP to light. I think, too, that one thing, I've heard this from some politicians, is that they believe that if you criticize the CCP, that it's racism or it's criticizing Chinese people, which couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, if you look at this gathering, like 80% of the people are ethnic Chinese. I am half Chinese. Like, the people who have suffered the most under the CCP are Chinese people. So it's time for our politicians to wake up, take a stand against this government that is completely different from Chinese people who are innocent, that is, threatening its neighbors, that is kidnapped 2 of our citizens and continues to threaten us. Canada, we are a middle power. We need to find allies that share our values and stand with them against the CCP. We did this during World War II. We stood with the United Kingdom, we stood with the United States against the Nazis. We need to do the same thing against the CCP.
Nowadays, we can see that CCP is trying to invade a lot of human rights. They're trying to take away our democracy, our freedoms, and especially because I'm a Hongkonger, I'm from Hong Kong, and I can see what the Chinese government is doing. I can see how they're abusing our human rights. So I think for me as a Hong Konger, I think it's definitely important for me to stand up and say, no, this is not how you should treat us. No, this is not how you should treat Hong Kong people or anyone in this world.
We're here in Canada, in Vancouver. We're kind of neighbors, and we feel and are connected with what's going on there, and we're trying to make awareness here for what the CCP is doing to countries around the world, specifically Canada here, and just here to stand up for freedoms and rights of the people, and say no to communism, and that's a lot of our grandparents fought for this, and we're not just going to let it all go to nothing.
China has border disputes with almost every country. They illegally occupied so much land, and a few soldiers got killed. And it's not nice. Like, we have seen what happened to Tibet, we have seen what happened to Hong Kong. We are seeing they are, threatening Taiwan. It can happen to India as well. It can happen to Nepal. It can happen to Canada. Canada, it's such a small country, 33 million people, and it's really sad. Like how we see that Chinese Communist Party control Canadian politics, and people are just too afraid to even speak. And I think that's why, I'm showing my face, because I want people to know that you can show your face. You don't have to be afraid. You will not lose your job. If everybody speaks, you are not afraid of losing the business. Canadian values are, I think, more superior than any communist regime, and we stand for that.
You guys saw it with your own eyes right here, Vancouver, BC in Canada. Quite a historical moment. Right in front of a huge poster of President Xi Jinping, there's the burning, Canadians are burning the Chinese Communist Party flag. Drea Humphrey for Rebel News. Have you read China Virus by Ezra Levant yet? It's about how Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's loyalty to China is putting Canadians at risk. It's a message that more Canadians need to hear, and you can grab your copy at chinavirusbook.com.